Well, basically, I was one of the first to start reporting on it. I mean, I wasn't the first, but I was one of the first. This is a reporter who began reporting on the events in Northern Ireland, and he is to tell us about what he experienced on that particular 12th of July. The Crimes, a Smithco on True Crime Podcast, presented by Smithco, Season 2, Episode 7. The Newspaper. So you were reporting on this situation in Northern Ireland, were you? Well, yeah, I mean, basically I used to report on all the stuff around the world. I used to do a bunch of reporting. Anyway, I worked for this paper, and I said to them, well, basically there's a bit of stuff going on in my own area. And I was saying, well, maybe you might be interested. And they said, well, I mean, we're kind of interested in anything. Because basically what their point was if the public are interested in something, if they draw attention to it. So once there's something interesting, they can make you interested in it. So for example, if, there's a story that sounds a bit like a spy thriller, then they can make you interested in that story. And that was basically what they were asking me. Was there something that I could use to make it seem more interesting? Because obviously, Northern Ireland isn't exactly, a well-known place. This isn't Russia or, America or England. This is a small area to the world news. It's a bit of a small area. Someone would be really interested in that. So they're asking, could I actually spin it as something more interesting? And I said, well, yeah. I mean, there's the object is there. You can actually do that, and that's essentially what I did. I was pulled off the world news, and I started doing my own homework, and I began reporting, and one of the main things that I was able to get was pictures and videos. So I was given a cameraman, and we began to take pictures and the like about the area, and that was the point. We were looking at this thing, and then suddenly we were able to show our viewers this is what's happening, and it was a serious issue because that was the issue. People wouldn't know, so we were trying to draw attention here. So you say you've got you said that you actually you did multiple stories. What happened around this area? Well, basically, around this area, there was a bunch of protesters, and actually one of them was a friend of mine, and they'd actually told me they had actually been arrested. They were arrested that day for suspected being an IRA member. And were they? No, they weren't, no. Luckily for them, they weren't killed, but they were arrested, and they did manage to escape. But with that exception, they probably would have been kept there. So how exactly did this happen? Surely there was a trial. Well, no, because you see, at the time there was this policy called internment, which meant that they were allowed to arrest you if they suspected you of being an IRA member, and then just sort of keep you in a prison just without any trial. But surely this is wrong. Most people would put it as wrong, but I think the main issue was that they didn't really know who was an IRA member, so it was really luck of the draw, if they would catch someone who really was an IRA member, so that didn't really work. But the fact was, he did manage to escape, but that didn't really, so I mean, I do have a way of you to contact him, but he just doesn't really like meeting people. Well, he may not like to meet people, but we did manage to meet him. This is what happened when we met up with him and asked him some questions about that day. So you were captured on that day, were you? Yeah, I was, yeah. So basically you were innocent of being IRA, but why exactly did they arrest you? Well, basically I was protesting. I didn't really want there to be a parade. It wasn't a major protest. It was a small protest. Unlike it wasn't like a major protest where a lot of people were at. But I helped. I was part of this little smaller group. It was maybe 50 people that were protesting against the parade in our area. And anyway, basically, they arrested me, and they imprisoned me, and I by luck, really, I managed to escape the place they arrested me in, because I was able to take advantage of the situation. And the fact was that I wasn't able to return, because they could arrest me again. And the issue was, I had actually evidence that could essentially, I guess you could say, there wasn't many that had escaped, so there wasn't many that could tell you what it was like. And even to this day, I don't think I experienced the full length of it. So basically, I only managed to escape when they were arresting me, and they kept me for 2 days, but I hadn't actually. I managed to escape, before they had actually experienced the worst of it. So what we believe that you may have actually been on this protest with a man named David Brady. This is actually a picture of him. Well, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be able to recognize him definitely, but I think he may have been the person that they attacked. Sorry, they attacked someone. Yeah, basically, the issue was that basically you had this thing where there was this group called the B Specials, and they could arrest people. They weren't police persons. They were general members of the community that could join if they fitted certain criteria, but they didn't have to have any training. So basically, the issue was that they were not the best when it came to dealing with issues. And the police force wasn't really the best either. So the situation that unfolded that day was that people were attacked by the police force to protect the parade, because they thought, oh well, maybe they're going to try to stop the parade. We weren't actually going to try to stop the parade, but the fact was, you can't really argue with someone if they've got a baton in their hand, or they're beating you up the head with it. And that was the issue. I was arrested, but other people weren't arrested, but they were still badly damaged. And one of the persons, a couple of persons actually, they were lying on the floor, and there was serious head trauma to them. And there was one fella, I think he matches the description. It was awful. It really is seared into my mind. Basically he was on the ground, and he'd been shot multiple times by a police officer. So he'd been shot by one police officer multiple times. Yeah, they told him to stay back, and he said, I'm staying back. I'm gonna go back. And just there's no need to be so violent. Anyway, I don't think he realised that by saying these things, he was antagonising the police officers. They were getting angrier and angrier, and he didn't seem to be aware of that. So you saw them essentially murder him. Yeah, it was a real terrifying experience for me, because I'd never actually seen someone. I'd heard of people who were murdered. I'd heard of people who were, attacked. I've heard of injuries, and I had seen multiple injuries, but I hadn't ever actually seen someone in real time be killed. So you, in your opinion, they are responsible. Yeah. Now, I obviously don't have a major understanding of this area. So, do you think that the police would be aware of this? Well, yeah. You wouldn't, not all the time, but sometimes they would be aware of this. You'd have to ask them, I guess. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in the next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Crimes. This is a Smithco original on true crime podcast. If you want other content, facts, entertainment and the like, then you can visit our YouTube channel. And you can also subscribe. That helps. You can view YouTube videos. That's also helpful. And all those things. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's very helpful. Anyways, so we'll see you next time. Um, and thank you for listening.